long.
Anytime you're ready, Ed.
All right. Johnathan, let me just warn you, no, probably not after. This is videotape.
You don't mind me having a coffee?
Not at all. And what you can do is if you need to think for a minute or you need to take a sip, just go right ahead because it'll be...
Edit it anyway.
Oh, yeah. We'll take a...
Edit the coffee.
Jonathan, why don't we begin with... why don't we start off with a little preview? What can people expect from your one-man show tonight?
Oh, a few chills and a lot of laughs. Hopefully, a lot of laughs. And they're chills. I know which side my bread's buttered on. And when I do a Edgar Allan Poe story, I do a Stephen King story. I do a Stephen King story also in my Fridiculousness, which I'm not doing tonight, and it's positively hilarious. Would you believe he can write a funny story? But anyway, that's not being done tonight. The one I do tonight is a spooky one, sort of. It has a big surprise in it. The reason I do it is because it's not usually one of his gory, bloody ones, which I'm not interested in blood and gore because it bores me. I mean, if you cut your finger now and you asked me to help you, I'd run. I'd be I'd probably faint. But to see someone's head split right down the middle on television, it bores me. I mean, it's so common. It's just become common currency and just doesn't have any hold over me at all anymore. So I deal with confrontation in the mind, inward confrontation that people have within themselves or with another person. But I don't need, in my one-man shows, I don't need cars crashing. I don't want multimedia things. I'm not interested in multimedia things. This is a kind of a show that when you come to, you kind of wonder, where's Barnabas with his fangs? Barnabas Collins, you know, the creep that I used to do on television. Anyway, they say, where's your cape and so on? That's the worst kind of audience, but even they come out of it thinking, and sometimes saying to me, you know, I saw everything you did. I kind of like what you did. When at first I saw that music stand up and I was doing, what's all this? What's this? And then they end up having a great time.
Is that difficult, being so well known for one character? Oh,
it helps. Oh no, it helps. I think, now that I think of it, I never quite put it this way before, but I think any actor that has a crutch like that has a chance to do other things if he knows how to use it. I mean, there are many actors, I suppose, that don't have something specific like that to help them in a career that turns them into a memorable figure. So no, I used to be tired of it. I used to get tired of the references to it. But it's very useful to me in my one-man shows. I mean, if I didn't have Barnabas Collins to hang on to, I'd have about a dozen people at each one of my performances. It is difficult enough to get an audience for a reader's theater. They think it's something simply appallingly boring. It isn't at all, of course. It's the most exciting thing I've ever done in my life, better than any movie I've ever done, or for me anyway. But it works out with the audience. Come out and it's pure theater. It's even purer than plays because there's nothing else but the spoken word and me up with the limited body language that you can get from one person. It's concentrated. It's perfectly concentrated, and you're drawn in. It's like reading bedtime stories to adults, and the thrill is when I can get the adults just as if I can get them to with their mouths hanging open like kids do. You ever seen a kid being told a story? He doesn't even look at the person who's reading it. He just looks up, and he's got it all in front of him. Oh, this is exactly what I want adults to do, and I get it. It's wonderful. It's surprising how thrilling. And with the joy and wonder of Reader's Theater. It's tremendous. It's magic. It's what it is. It's pure magic.
And you said you enjoyed that better than any movie role you played. Did you enjoy that better than portraying Barnabas? Enjoy it? Well,
by the way, let me just refer to Barnabas, which I know you want me to do anyway. But Barnabas was, if I may say so in front of you, but the media always, make Barnabas with just a one-dimensional character that goes around biting people. Well, I don't blame the media for having that attitude, because you've got a lot of people to interview, and so to catch this interview, you've got to set it up with, he bites, he's a vampire. But in fact, Barnabas Collins was a very complex character. I mean, I played him like Hamlet. And he had a lot of facets to him. Well, I know we don't want to go on about that in a quick interview like this, but indeed he was one of the most fascinating characters I ever played. But of course, the press and even a certain amount of fans, all they remember me for is the bite, which I thought was the silliest moments I ever had in the show. They were so badly staged. Fortunately, I only spent about 2 minutes of the 5 years I was on that show actually biting people, thank goodness. The rest of the time I had other things to play. But, however, the thing I like about my one-man show, Reader's Theater, is that I get to play all the parts. And I'm in full control of my destiny. I pick the things I want to do, so I'm never frustrated. You can never ask me, oh, what role would you like to play if you had the opportunity? Well, I'd play it. I'd put it right on my one-man show. So, but however, I don't do plays very often. I find that stories are much more adaptable to the Reader's Theater mode than plays. Plays are too difficult. There's no narrative, and so you're like a jack-in-a-box bouncing from one character to the other, just with bare-bones dialogue. A play, at least a story, is written from one person's point of view, and so it has a nicer flow, and you're not really performing, you're not really acting, you're suggesting things. So consequently, I'm playing all kinds of people that I would never normally be cast as. But when you're reading a story, you're not expected to be that person, you just simply suggest them. But with the power of the imagination, the receiver's imagination, he receives the character as I portray it, whether it's a little girl of 15 or an old man, which I am not, of course, and or a kid, or a woman, or whatever. You have to be very androgynous in a sense, but I'm not being a female impersonator when I'm playing a woman or anything like it. I can't even impersonate a man, let alone a woman. I mean, I can't impersonate people. But but it's the power of suggestion. You suggest certain elements in people.
Now, this afternoon you were working with some of the university students up here. Do you enjoy working with young actors?
Oh, sure. Oh, yes. I'm a frustrated professor. But however, my life has turned out to be wonderful because I was about to go off and teach when Dark Shadows came along, and it was a matter of seconds that got me into Dark Shadows rather than teaching, because I was going off to teach in California, and I was just finishing a tour, and I told my agent 2 months before, when I come back to New York, I'm going off to teach in California. I've already laid the groundwork out there for teaching, so it's goodbye. And I don't know when I'll be back in New York from this other tour, and I probably won't be calling you, etc., etc. Anyway, when I got back to my apartment, and I did finish that tour and stayed down in Florida for a week or two, got back, the phone was ringing in my apartment. I dropped the bags in the hall, went inside, answered the phone. It was my agent. I said, George, I told you. Well, I just thought you might be back because they're casting this soap opera. And I said, well, I told you I'm not interested I'm going out to teach in California. I said, but you're not going to go right away. I said, no, it'll be a month before I actually get myself organized here and get up the coast. And so I said, well, while you're doing that, why not pick up some extra money? And I said, oh, all right, what's the show? He said, well, it's a soap opera called Dark Shadows. It's a vampire. And I said, wouldn't you know? And I said, no. So he said, well, go and take it. So I said, oh, all right, just to please you, so happened, because got it. Now, if I had been 2 minutes later and 30 seconds later, Dark Shadows would never have happened because I dropped the bags, went in and answered the phone. The phone had been ringing at some time, and he was about to hang up. So the will of the wisp we all are, especially actors. I mean, that timing was, just incredible, because he wouldn't have called again. He would have assumed I was still away, and I certainly wasn't going to call him. So, make a long story short,
if you would, you may tell her that it's
satisfaction of being an actor and a professor by going around to all these colleges all over the country, and I'm like a con man. Now, if I had been 2 minutes later and 30 seconds later, Dark Shadows would never have happened because I dropped the bags, went in and answered the phone. The phone had been ringing at some time, and he was about to hang up. So the will of the wisp we all are, especially actors. I mean, that timing was, just incredible, because he wouldn't have called again. He would have assumed I was still away, and I certainly wasn't going to call him. So, but make a long story short, I have the satisfaction of being an actor and a professor by going around to all these colleges all over the country And I'm like a con man. I don't have to grade anybody. I have no responsibilities. I just go in, charm them to death, and get the hell out, and get on to the next place where I con those people into believing who I am, you know.
My name is Victoria Winters. Night is drawing nearer and nearer to Collinwood, and the man who disappeared into another night has not been found. But out of the falling dusk, another man has come. A stranger who is not a stranger. A man with a face long familiar to those who live at Collinwood. A man who has come a great distance, but who still bears deep within him a soul shaped by the far country from which he came.
There are many people who think that actors have a lot in common with the clergy and with teachers. But there's one terribly important difference, that an actor doesn't owe responsibility to anybody. He's there's the entertainer. You cannot compare an actor who's giving a message on the stage to a clergyman who's giving a message in church, because he is going by a code. He's going. His religion is all important. He's a spokesman for his religion, and the people have faith. When you're up on the stage, you're an actor, you're essentially an entertainer, and the responsibility is not to be compared to the responsibility of a clergyman or the responsibility of a teacher, of a professor. And that's why I say I'm happy doing what I'm doing, because I go around to colleges, but just being an entertainer and a little bit of lecturing, but not enough to worry about if I make outrageous propositions, you know, in my lectures. It's only an hour, and the professor in the next day's class can correct anything that I might have been off color with. But no, seriously, like today, I had a ball with those kids, and I told them at the very beginning, I said, you know, you don't have to believe me, but just listen to my views on acting for what they're worth, and go on with your own. But it's always good to hear other people's thoughts.
Johnathan, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Sunday, January 13th, Dark Shadows, the movie on NBC.
Okay, so what do we got?
Murder victims, all of them women.
Each with extreme contusions to the throat.
Cause of death, massive blood loss.
But no blood was found at any of the crime scenes.
So what the hell have we got?
I think we know what we've got. Now we just have to stop it.
Dark Shadows, the movie, Sunday, January 13th on NBC.
She lost all that blood. Where did it go?
Whoever did this took it with him.
A town terrorized by an unusual killer.
4 victims. The only one who's still alive can't remember a thing.
I've never seen anything like it before.
This is only the beginning.
Unusual mysteries call for unusual solutions.
Just might work.
Because in this town,
I gotta get out of here.
Sheriff wants to talk to you.
they all have a stake in it. Dark Shadows, Sunday, January 13th on NBC.